Have you ever looked at your team and thought, man, we are spinning our wheels? You're constantly busy, but you're not actually moving the needle on what matters? Well, today we're going to tackle that exact problem, the huge, and I mean huge, difference between just frantic activity and real effective progress.
And it's such an important distinction to make. It's so easy for teams to get caught in what's called an activity trap. You know the feeling, right? You're running from meeting to meeting, you're shipping features, you're clearing tickets, but all that motion, it just isn't adding up to real progress. You're just churning, not learning. So here's how we're going to break this down. We'll start with the problem itself, the activity trap. Then we're going to build a framework, moving from our why to our how, and then to our what. By the end of this, you're going to have a really clear strategic mindset to guide your team out of the chaos.
To really ground this, let's use a common and, let's be honest, often painful business problem as our running example: reducing customer churn. It's the perfect scenario where that kind of frantic, uncoordinated effort can actually end up making things a whole lot worse.
It's kind of like trying to fill a bucket that has a massive hole in the bottom. When churn gets out of control, all your forward progress on new, exciting things has to stop just so you can go back and plug the leaks. The real goal isn't just to react to these problems as they pop up, but to build a proactive engine for growth. And that all starts by getting crystal clear on your why.
Okay, so let's start with that first, most important question. Why are we even doing this? To get absolute clarity on your goal, there's a really effective technique called impact mapping. At its core, impact mapping is a visual planning method that forces a really crucial shift in the conversation. It stops us from obsessing over the what we're building, the features, the deliverables, and it redirects our focus to the why we're building it in the first place. The whole process really boils down to four simple but incredibly powerful questions. By answering them in this specific order, starting with the goal, then the actors, then the desired impacts, you create a visual map. And this map ensures that every single action your team even thinks about doing can be traced directly back to that business goal. Nothing gets done without a clear purpose. And this is how the framework makes these big, abstract goals totally concrete. Just look at this example. A vague goal like increase word-of-mouth marketing gets broken down. We identify the actors, our current and future users. Then we define the impacts we want to have, like getting them to share on social media. And only then, at the very end, do we brainstorm the deliverables, like in-app prompts or a rewards program. See? Every feature has a reason to exist. Okay, so we've established our why, we're all aligned. Now we need to figure out the how. Who are the people and what's the team structure that will actually make this vision a reality? Now, before you can even think about your own team structure, you have to understand the entire human landscape you're operating in. That means mapping your stakeholders, because let's face it, not everyone has the same level of influence or interest in what you're doing. A really useful way to think about this is the stakeholder salience model. It helps you prioritize who needs your attention by looking at three key things: their power to influence the project, the legitimacy of their claim, and the urgency of their needs. This simple framework helps you see who's a definitive stakeholder, the one with all three, versus someone who might be dormant, with lots of power but no immediate urgency. Let's bring this back to our churn example. An enterprise client with a huge contract, they have power, legitimacy, and urgency. Their feedback is absolutely critical. A free trial user who's about to leave, well, they have urgency but maybe less power. This clarity helps you focus your energy where it matters most. So, with that in mind, how do you structure your internal teams to act on these insights? For that, we can look at a really powerful case study, Spotify's Agile Scaling Model. They developed this amazing organizational structure that's designed to create goal-oriented teams that can move super fast without, breaking things or losing sight of the bigger picture. So the core of this model is the squad. Just think of it as a little mini startup with a long-term mission. For our churn example, you might have a squad totally dedicated to improving the onboarding experience. Squads are then grouped into tribes. But here's the clever part. To prevent silos, you also have chapters, which group people by skill, like all the designers, and guilds, which are basically communities of interest that span the entire company. And here is the absolute magic of this structure. You have this built-in balance. The squad's product owner is laser-focused on the what, delivering a great product. Meanwhile, the chapter lead is focused on the how, making sure there's technical excellence and that people are growing in their craft.
This creates this really healthy tension that pushes for both speed and quality. Brilliant! All right, you've got your clear why, you've got your organized how. Now it's time for the what. Out of all the things your team could do, how in the world do you decide what to do first? Choosing the right tool for the job is absolutely critical here. A simple framework like the Eisenhower Matrix, which just sorts tasks by urgency and importance, is fantastic for personal productivity or making quick daily calls. But for a complex product decision, a more data-driven model like RICE, which scores features on reach, impact, confidence, and effort, is going to give you a much more robust answer. And look, the toolbox is full of great options. If you need absolute clarity on the non-negotiables for a launch, the Moscow method is perfect. If you need to build some momentum, a value versus effort matrix helps you find those quick wins. And if you want to go beyond just satisfying customers to truly delighting them, the Kano model is what you need. The key isn't to use all of them. It's to pick the framework that best connects your team's daily work back to that strategic why. So, what's the big picture here? We've covered a lot of ground, right? From these high-level goals all the way down to team structures and daily tasks. It's all about building a connected, strategic framework. It's a mental model that links every single action your team takes back to a core purpose. You start with why, using impact mapping. You clarify how by understanding your stakeholders and structuring your teams for autonomy. And then you execute on the what by using smart prioritization to do the right things in the right order. This is how you escape the activity trap. Moving from just being busy to being truly deeply effective, it all starts by asking that one simple but incredibly powerful question. What is the one why that matters?